Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Cohn, the editorial director here at Spin, and we are sitting here with one of my favorite rising artists who's going to be a name you're going to know for a long time, McKinley Dixon.
Hi.
He's already had a long day, he's ready to rock,
Yeah.
he's ready to show off his stuff, and we're going to talk about a topic that's really important to him. He's a Chicago native, and he could say a thing or two about why criminal justice reform is incredibly important for the times we live in.
Yeah, I think that I grew up in sort of a community where a lot of my friends were, the alternatives to the lifestyles that they lived were sort of the hustle. And the hustle can embody anything, and that sort of hustle has also led me to now be privileged enough to be out of a place that allows me to touch on a lot of topics, including the prison industrial complex, community reform, and also sort of providing a lot of neighborhoods with the idea of like dreams, the ideation of dreams, which I think is not really allowed for a lot of young black folks, especially a lot of young black folks that are queer, a lot of young black folks that are trans, and a lot of young black women. So I think all of this sort of ties into police and community reform.
Chicago is one of the most notorious cities that needs criminal justice reform. So have you noticed in the past few years that anything has actually improved there?
So I love Chicago because in the Chicago summers, not only is it really beautiful, but the people there. I live in Garfield Park, which is on the west side of Chicago, which is a majority black neighborhood, and I think that for me, the summers sort of provide this like festive parade of life because the winters are so harsh. And I think that regardless of what the neighborhoods are happening, especially with the mayor that has just been recently voted out, the people still persist. And I think that even if the overarching system is not prevailing, which it didn't for the last couple of years, especially with Lightfoot, it still allows for people within their neighborhoods to really change everything. And I think that I look at that more so than the systemic changes right now.
Are you hopeful that the community activating together will be able to implement change that it forces the powers that be to have no choice?
I think it already does. I think, again, the beauty of Chicago is that everybody has their own space, and that space then allows you for filling in the cracks. And I think in places like, I've been to New York, I lived there, and I lived in Virginia for a long time. These places where the sort of overarching systemic pressures don't allow for anybody else to change it. And I think Chicago, being in wherever you are, there's always going to be somebody trying to change how that works.
3 minutes. How do you feel would be, or what do you feel like would be a goal for the next election cycle that could actually implement reasonable change in a short period of time? Is there something that jumps out that could be something that would make sense?
Defunding the police. The defunding of the police, especially the Chicago police force, is one that would help a lot. And honestly, I'm not really a fan of overarching government in general, but that's a really big ask. So the first step would probably be defunding the police.
How do you think that the messaging on that it's tricky for people who don't understand what it actually means.
Definitely.
So what do you think is a good way to get the message out with people realizing that it means just significantly cutting their budget versus actually getting rid of them?
I think that it starts out with cutting the budget, but the ultimate goal would be getting rid of them. I think that the community sort of allows for itself to be safe. I think people view Chicago as this thing where it's riddled with gangs, but we have to take a step back and look where they came from. These communities were not allowed to profit. They were not allowed to have their own housing. They were not allowed to own the spaces that they lived in. So I think once you then try to police that, it becomes a problem for everybody involved.
Well, it's really interesting to hear that because it is all of these problems are always grassroots problems.
Exactly.
That couldn't be fixed by people in the community if they're given a chance to actually do it and not have people outside forces coming down on them. That's what common sense would show.
Exactly.
I like to think that common sense and respect to your neighbor and friends will win out in all this. I feel like it's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that it takes time, but I think that anything's possible.
So thanks for coming by, McKinley. We're super stoked for your set. Is there anything else you'd want to tell the people out there?
Nah, you heard it all here first. Yeah, thank you.